Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Misty and the channel's name of course is Speculative Magpie. And I'm here to do kind of a different video today. Still book related, still horror book related, still spooky season related, so it's not that different. Just I am having a little trouble figuring out what I want to read next. So I thought I would do that, read the first page challenge and see if which book jumps out at me, and maybe if any one of you have the books that I'm reading, you'll want to maybe read from this. So I'm going to show you the book, the title, the author, and then I'm going to read out loud the first page. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books. They're just books that were sitting in a pile on my table in front of me. So they're not they're just books that happen to be here. They're on my TBR, so I want to read them. They're just not specifically chosen. They just happen to be the ones that was in the pile closest to me. So the first book is actually a 3-book series. It's called The Haunting Collection by Mary Downing Hahn. I got this from eBay. It was about $5. We're only going to read the first page of the first book, and that first book is Deep and Dark and Dangerous. Right there, you can see. And let's see the first page of this book. One rainy Sunday in March, I opened a box of books Mom had brought home from Grandmother's house. Although Grandmother had been dead for 5 years, no one had unpacked any of the boxes. They had been sitting in the attic collecting dust, their contents a mystery. Hoping to find something to read, I started pulling out books: Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Misty of Chinacoke, and at least a dozen Nancy Drew mysteries. At 13, I had long outgrown Carolyn Keene's plots, but I opened one at random, The Bungalow Mystery, and began flipping the pages, laughing at the corny descriptions. Nancy blue-eyed and with reddish glints in her blonde hair. Helen Corning, dark-haired and petite. The 2 girls were in a small motorboat on a lake. A storm was coming, and soon they were in big trouble. Just as I was actually getting interested in the plot, I turned a page and found a real-life mystery, a torn photograph. In faded shades of yellow and green, Mom's older sister Dulcie grinned into the camera, her teeth big in her narrow face, her hair a tangled mop of tawny curls. Next to her, Mom looked off to the side, her long straight hair drawn back in a ponytail, eyes downcast, unsmiling, clearly unhappy. Dulcie was about 11. I guessed Mom 9 or 10. Behind the girls was water. A lake, I assumed. That's the first page of, what was that? To everyone who enjoys ghost stories. Deep and Dark and Dangerous. So it's about a lake ghost. The next one is a book I bought at Barnes & Noble just because the back sounded interesting. Ink by Jonathan Maybury. You want to hear the synopsis on this one? One day, tattoo artist Patsy Cakes, who has her dead daughter's face tattooed on the back of her hand, noticed that it's beginning to fade, taking with it the memory she had of her daughter. Could this be real? But she's not alone. Monk Addison is a private investigator whose skin is covered with the tattooed faces of murdered victims. He is a predator who hunts killers, and the ghosts of all those dead people haunt his life. Some of those faces have begun to fade too, destroying the very souls of the dead. The damaged people of Pine Deep are all experiencing the same phenomenon, having their most precious memories dragged and ripped out of their hearts forever. Something is out there, something cruel and evil, preying on the damaged and the lonely, feeding on their memories, erasing them from the minds of good people. How do you hunt something you can't see? How do you forget something you can't remember? And for people of Pine Deep, tracking down the memory thief will lead to the greatest horror of them all. Through the pain and suffering of memory, this supernatural thriller will teach you that there is no greater horror than forgetting. So, let's see what the first page is. Prologue. Will it hurt? Patsy Cakes paused, the tattoo needle in her hand, looking at the man who lay face down on the table. He was as white and hairless as a worm. She could have lied to him, but she never did that. Yes, she said. The man took a long time before answering. Good. So that was ink. It's got a neat cover. Okay. Next one in the pile, book 3, Traveling Vampire Show by Richard Lehman. I don't think I'll read the synopsis. That'll take too long. I'm already at 5 minutes. Let's just see. Chapter 1. The summer I was 16, the Traveling Vampire Show came to town. I heard about it first from my 2 best friends, Rusty and Slim. Rusty's real name was Russell, which he pretty much hated. Slim's real name was Frances. She had to put up with it from her parents and teachers, but not from the other kids. She'd tell them, Frances is a talking mule. Asked what she wanted to be called, her answer pretty much depended on what book she happened to be reading. She'd say Nancy or Holmes or Scout or Zoc or Phoebe. All last summer, she wanted to be called Dangy. Now it was Slim. A name like that, I figured maybe she'd start reading Westerns, but I didn't ask. My name is Dwight, by the way, named after the commander of the Allied Expeditionary Forces in Europe. He didn't get elected president until after I'd already been born and named. Anyway, it was a hot August morning. School wouldn't be starting again for another month, and I was out in front of our house mowing the lawn with the push mower. We must have been the only family in Granville that didn't have a power mower, not that we couldn't afford one. Dad was the town's chief of police, and Mom taught English at the high school. So we had the money for a power motor, or even a riding mower, but not the inclination. Not Dad, anyway. Long before anyone had even heard of language like noise pollution, Dad was doing everything in his power to prevent this or that god-awful racket. Okay. Next one up is Goblin by Josh Mallorman. Now, this is a novel in 6 novellas. Signed, I got it from Nightworms. I really like the look of this book. The inside insert pages are pretty good. Prologue, welcome. If Tom had left his sweater in his locker, if he hadn't gone back to get it, and if he hadn't passed the main office on the way, the whole dark night might have been avoided. Hold up a minute, Tommy. Got one more run for you. Damn it. Tom had a fun night planned ahead. A great one. Pizza, beer, old movies, feet on the table, and the open prairie of the living room to himself. Where to, Jerry? Before his boss even said the city name, Tom knew he'd scratched his evening plans. He never said no to Jerry. Goblin. Goblin? Geez, Jerry, Goblin's what? An hour away? I haven't been to Goblin's in something close to 30 years. To Goblin might have been an hour's drive, but there and back would make it 2. I know it, Jerry said, making his most sympathetic face. Cigar smoke rose from the ashtray on his desk and curled about his big belly. And I'm going to give you triple for the run. And the recipient gave us some extra. Wants it done his way. Very specific. Well, now I'm kind of intrigued by that one. It's probably the most intriguing first page I've read so far. And I really like the cover. Guess I just have a thing for books with old creepy houses on the cover right now. Okay, so far Goblin's in the running. And then of course there's this one, the one that I got in my last Nightworms that I'm excited to read. My heart is a chainsaw. That's probably why it's in the pile that's so close to me. Let's see what the first page is about. It's also signed. Okay. Night School, first page. On the battered paper map that carried the two of them across, they're not sure how many of the American states now. This is Prologue, Idaho, and the dark body of water before them is Indian Lake, and it kind of goes forever out into the night. Does this mean there's Indians in the lake, or does it mean that Indians made it? Lottie asks, a gleam of excitement to her eyes. Everything here is named after Indians, Sven said back, whispering because there's something solemn about being awake when everyone's asleep. Their rental car is ticking down behind them from the 16-hour push from Casper. The doors open because they just wanted to look to see, to soak all there is in before going back to the Netherlands at the end of the week. Lottie shines her phone light. Sorry, my voice is getting all messed up. Lottie shines her phone light down into the fluttering map and looks up from it and across the water, like trying to connect what she's seeing in lines and grids to what she's actually standing in. What? Sven says. Out of every one, these two are the ones that hold the most interest to me. Let's see. Do I have a coin anywhere around? All right, dice. All my dice are downstairs. Shit. How am I going to pick? Let's see. Maybe I can do like a dice roller on my computer. If it designs that it wants to come up. I suppose that's good. I mean, I went from 5 books narrowed down to 2. All right, so there's a coin flip. So, heads Goblin, tails my heart is a chainsaw. So here we go. I'm going to flip it. Heads. So, I'm reading Goblin. So that's my next book. Thank y'all for coming on this weird right before I go to bed journey. That's why I had to pick something, because I wanted to read a little bit before I go to bed. So thank you for coming back so we can talk about some books and things. And I will see you next time, hopefully with a review about Goblin. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.